Unfortunately, the time has come and we have to talk about the child in the room. Listen, guys, I'm in Japan right now, and to be honest, I don't really want to be working, but I didn't want to miss the chance to talk about Tribbie because, well, unfortunately, they made another broken child character, and now you have to play a child on your team. I'm so sorry. Anytime they make a kid character that has pluses for their eyes, they tend to be broken for some reason. Everyone's been doom posting this character, and for some reason, other people have been believing it. I don't know why you guys are believing it, and I'll tell you why in just a second, but first you should know that this is on the creator experience server for version 2.1. This version will include a lot of cool new stuff, including Tribbie and Mide, but first we're just going to be talking about Tribbie. Everything is subject to change, and I really don't want to re-record this much because I'm on vacation. So we're just going to get right into it. Okay, what makes Tribbie broken? You guys need to understand that this is insane. So you know how like every character has just been getting like a ridiculous amount of buffs? Like Aglaya gets like a chinchillian attack, and the Herda also just gets a ridiculous amount of buffs, and everyone's giving crit and damage percent and attack. Well, the first character that was meant to fix that in the 3.x series was Remembrance Trailblazer because she added a new mechanic called True Damage. This is essentially damage exactly as it says it is. Unaffected by modifiers, it's just a percentage of damage dealt of the original damage that came out. This doesn't have diminishing returns, so you can just kind of spam out attacks with a bunch of extra damage attached to it. It's really great. Well, Tribbie is the next step for that because she adds some stats that are a little more rare. For example, she gives universal resistance penetration, which means that if the enemy resists you, you can penetrate them. Every enemy has innate resistances based on their elements that they are weak to, but also some bosses have some extra stuff. Well, this lets you essentially ignore that, and since not a lot of characters are giving your entire team res pen, Tribbie's skill is incredibly valuable, as it gives you 24% all type res pen at level 10. It lasts for 3 turns, and it is only decreasing on every Tribbie turn, which funny enough, they just made a relic set that decreases the wearer's speed and gives quantum damage bonus. You'll never guess what element Tribbie is. So basically, you're gonna play this character slow and you're gonna get a bunch of res pen. But that's not the only thing that Tribbie does, because if it was only this res pen, then honestly, she wouldn't be that worth it. Just pull E1 Ron May. No, she has other value as well. You guys remember Aventurian and how this guy was meant to be like the preservation DPS character that does some damage while he's also preserving your will to live? Yeah, well, Tribbie probably legalized nuclear bombs. Tribbie's talent allows Tribbie to launch follow-up attacks whenever another ally uses their ultimate, and this does a damage based off a percentage of Tribbie's HP. Now, it's actually a decent chunk of HP scaling, and it can do a fair bit. It really does add up, much like how Robin actually adds up a little bit of damage when you're in her ultimate. Tribbie adds up a fair bit of damage as well. Once again, putting the harm in harmony. Now, this can only be done once per ally before Tribbie ults, so you can use 3 ultimates from your allies and then Tribbie ult and then like 3 ults again, but there's not a lot of characters that could just spam ultimates. There are a few, and you know, those synergies are to be noted, but you're probably not going to think about it too much. Now, after you get the follow-up attack from Tribbie's talent, you also increase that damage dealt by Tribbie by a fair bit. And then of course, there's another major trait that makes it so that you gain 30 energy at the start of battle. Wow, very cool. Tribbie also will get energy back after allies attack, so that is pretty cool. But the other value that Tribbie brings is in line with the res pen thing we were talking about earlier, where there's just not a lot of characters that provide that same value, and this is going to be super cool and helpful for basically every single team in the game. With Tribbie's ultimate, she activates a zone, which is the same thing as a field by Locha, but for some reason they decided to rename it. Whenever this zone is up, enemies take 30% more damage at talent level 10. That's not extra 30% damage bonus to your teammates. That is the enemies receive 30% more damage, which is a lot. And then on top of that, you get like the Ting Yun effect, where you basically deal bonus damage as a result of Tribbie whenever you attack and hit an enemy with an ally. On top of that, Tribbie's max HP increases by 9% of the sum of all ally characters' max HP when the zone is up. Basically, this just is a big buff to Tribbie's personal damage, then you'll definitely notice it. Basic attack is Blast, which is cool, I guess, and then her technique makes it so that her skill automatically activates, which saves you a skill point. Anyways, this character is honestly pretty dang simple. All you do is you play her giga slow, and you use the new quantum damage set with the decrease in speed. What it's gonna do is allow you to keep that zone up longer. It only lasts 2 of Tribbie's turns, but if she moves incredibly slow, then you just don't really have to worry about that being an issue. And then you just make sure her skill is up and her ultimate is up, and yeah, I mean, it's free. For the build, if you guys are wondering, I'm using the Poet of Morning Collapse. This is the quantum set, the newer one, and on it I have crit damage on the body, HP on the feet, quantum damage on the planar sphere, and energy regen on the rope. Now, if you're wondering why I have these equipped, it's because that's what the smart equip equipped, and I honestly don't think her build even matters that much. The only thing that kind of matters is like how often you get her ultimate, so I'm using an ER rope, but even then, like, you'll have her her ultimate pretty frequently considering how much she gains energy. I'm using a 4-star light cone because one of you guys is gonna complain if I don't. She is E0, but E1 is the most broken thing of all time and I'm really mad about it. Oh, and one other thing you can do is you can also run the wind set, which I have 0 pieces of on this EE server. The wind set gives you action forward whenever you ult, and you can do some cool 0 cycle stuff with that, but I'll talk about that more in the guide. Right now I'm trying to finish this video so I can go out and eat ramen or something. Okay, I've literally never fought this guy before. This is actually my first run doing this, so we're gonna see how it goes, but this should be incredibly easy. I'm just playing a Herta team because why not? There's a ton of different teams you can be playing, but you know, I don't know, Herta's, she's hot. I don't really have any other ways to explain it. So we're gonna buff our Thurda real quick, and I'm gonna try to speak in fluent, coherent sentences, but I'm very tired. It is past midnight my time. Wow, we're gonna use Tribbie's ultimate because that's available to us right now. We can get that zone up, and once the zone is up, holy cow, are we gonna do a pretty okay amount of damage. And we have Herta's ult, but I'm actually gonna basic attack on Tribbie real quick just to make sure that I can that I can actually use her skill again. And basically what Tribbie's doing is she's allowing us to do 30% more damage, or it's allowing the enemies to take 30% more damage from our attacks, but also on top of that we have res pen, right? So even though Thurda is pretty like saturated with other, I mean, our crit damage isn't like insanely high right now, but we do have pretty high attack, right? Even though our Thurda is pretty saturated with other stats, it just doesn't really matter because we're getting like res pen and stuff. There's not really as big of diminishing returns on something like this as you would see in some other teams, specifically not including Tribbie. Now with that said, there still is an argument to be made for characters like Robin and even Ruame, just because they also can provide some pretty solid buffs all around for your team. I'm gonna go ahead and use Tribbie ult again because why not, guys? We get it so fast, it's just not a problem. Okay, I'm gonna link shot ult just to get Tribbie's follow-up attack and see if that helps me do enough damage to make sure this wave gets cleared out. Because I want to see if we can get it this cycle, but if not, I guess I'll blow up or something. Let's see though. Now we got it easily. Not even close. So we're gonna not waste a skill here with Thurda. So we're gonna wait till this guy. Dude, wait, he's so sick. Oh my gosh, this guy is literally so cool. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and actually I'm gonna basic attack, yeah, because I don't want to bolt and then basic attack right after. That sounds terrible, actually. 76k from Tribbie. Like, it's actually a pretty decent chunk of damage, and yeah, Tribbie's adding a fair bit on her own. It's definitely notable. It's definitely not like a super negligible amount. Wow, no way. Look at all that damage. So actually, Tribbie's about to run out of her zone, which means that they're going to lose that 30%. But if you look at her energy here, it's only 120. Like, we don't actually have to worry about energy that much of this character at all. So I can even basic attack here and then just use my ults again. Because why not? Because we have it so fast for some reason. All right, Thurda, bring us home. That's not gonna bring us home at all, actually. It's not even close. Oh man, all right, we're gonna slap these guys a little bit. We're gonna slap them around. No weighing. Oh my God, 813, shoo! You'll get like an actual like thorough and accurate and complete review of these characters later when I'm back at home and not trying to relax on an island somewhere. I'm gonna go ahead and just ult with Tribbie again because it does its own damage, an extra 100k, which is pretty cool, pretty cool. We have the skill points to skill ult skill, so we're gonna skill ult skill. Boom, skill ult. And yeah, I mean, it's actually for a Harmony unit, she actually just does a fair bit of damage. The moon haunts you. Wait, dude, that animation is actually so sick. Okay, so this puts me in a bit of an awkward position. Yeah, we're not gonna get it this cycle, even though we probably could if I was paying any attention at all. And I can just ult at the Herta because she's down a little bit. So we can just ult right away, it's fine. And then we can re-up the zone because why not? Tribbie's up next, but this guy's gonna die before the zone even expires because Tribbie is so gosh darn slow. Oh, there's a 1 mil for us. That's pretty good. That ain't too bad. Looking relatively okay out here. Okay, and then here's Thurda to finish it off. So there you go. That was a 2 cycle, and I wasn't paying any attention at all. So you might be wondering, okay, Brax, why are you so unenthusiastic about this character? Well, the main reason is because, actually, I'm just tired. That's it. But honestly, I just didn't really get around to it. That's gonna be something that's way more detailed for the guide video itself. But for now, guys, this is just my first impressions of the character, and mathematically, even without like actually comparing her to Robin right now, I can tell, and you guys should be able to tell as well, 24% res pen and 30% extra damage taken by enemies is pretty dang crazy. And as you can see, even though she's not hitting like 100k by herself consistently, I mean, she is on her ultimate, but even though she's not hitting like a sub DPS or anything, she does a lot of damage for a Harmony character. And I think that's gonna be where a lot of people write her off, is that the damage that she adds doesn't feel as good to me as like Remembrance Trailblazer, just because Remembrance Trailblazer also has action forward and true damage is just such a busted mechanic. But the damage that she's adding personally is also really good on top of the other stuff that you're doing. And she doesn't really have energy issues either. So all in all, Tribbie feels really strong. Now she'd feel even stronger if you got her E1, which gives you 24% true damage added to everything in the game. Yeah, they said, okay, if you pull a second copy of Tribbie, all of your teams do 24% more damage, non-negotiable. I don't know what they're cooking with this. This is too broken. The second Eidolon, actually, I don't even want to go over these. Listen, E1, more damage. E2, more damage. E3, more damage. E4 is ignore enemy defense, which is more damage. Skill and talent level up on E5, and E6 is, wow. That's a lot of damage. This character doesn't really have quality of life issues, so there's not really Eidolons geared towards that. There's just Eidolons geared towards making your characters deal more damage. Now, I will advise that like Harmony Eidolons for certain characters tend to be a little bit stronger. Like if you look at E1 Ron Mei, you actually just get defense ignore, and that makes it so that because Ron Mei is like a super versatile unit, basically every single team you can play Ron Mei on, which is like a lot of the teams, can ignore 20% defense. So it's really strong if you are gonna go for Eidolon. Same with Robin Z1. Robin Z1 just turns her into Tribbie. So if you are banking on like low spender dolphining a little bit, E1 of Tribbie is literally just cheating. It's just 24% extra damage, like on everyone. Like it's gonna work on every single team archetype in the game, as long as allies are attacking enemies. So with that in mind, it's pretty dang good. Now I mentioned that Tribbie is like actually pretty useful in most teams, and I wanted to give you guys two examples because they're more recent teams. So this is the Herta team that I was showing you guys with Jade. You can run Serval here, obviously, and that's fine. The only issue that I have with this is just Remembrance MC feels so strong with Herta, and honestly, I have a really hard time replacing free-to-play units that feel strong because you get so comfy with them. Like Remembrance MC just feels so cozy to play, but Tribbie is good here, and Tribbie's also good with a Goliath team. Now, the downside of this is that you're definitely gonna want Sunday. I tested this with Remembrance Trailblazer just to like double check and make sure, and you just don't meet the energy thresholds, especially in the new MOC where you're not getting the energy bonus. You really need Sunday if you want this to work, or like E1 Aglaia. Other than that, basically anyone that ults really consistently seems like they would theoretically be good for Tribbie for more follow-up attacks, but even that doesn't matter a ton because the value that Tribbie adds is just universally so good. Like you can literally play Tribbie with like a majority of hypercarry teams and it's just so strong. You can play her in Fart team as a replacement for Robin. Now Robin's action forward there is really strong, but again, I'll do the math for that for my official guide if you guys want to see the details, so make sure to subscribe if you're not already. And anyone that does damage in like a hypercarry position can use Tribbie. Like I'm not joking, it's literally almost the entire HSR cast. So would I recommend pulling for this unit? Well, I mean, yeah, she's pretty good. She's just good all around. Yeah, she's good. Guys, I'm gonna go to bed. I'm so tired. I'm going to sleep. Enjoy your child.